If you're ready to speak, why don't you join us up here? Thanks for writing that down.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Pete.
I just wanted to come and speak because I'm sitting in here and listening, and we're one of the subcontractors for the Buena Creek Navigation Center, one of the big programs. I think that the reason why you see me here at every meeting, the reason why you see Nanette here, the reason why you see Hannah when she's available here, is because we do see that you guys are giving us a large sum of money and you're putting your trust in us to be able to operate something that you've chosen us to do, right? And it's with the taxpayer money. And so I feel like that it's a mandatory meeting for me, right? Even though it's not mandated from me, from you guys, or from Jonathan or Daniel, but to me, if I'm literally paid, we're funded by the city of Vista, we're funded by the city of Encinitas, et cetera, and there's a month-to-month standing committee, meeting on homelessness, then somebody from our organization needs to be here. And so I think that if you wanted a better representation of people here as well, you make it mandatory. If you're receiving this amount of money and trust from us, we need you to at least be here at these meetings to be able to talk and discuss and answer questions, et cetera. That's my opinion. I didn't plan on saying that. I'm just listening to you guys. I'm listening to everybody. But yeah, and also to understand what these meetings are. This is my first time being in a place of representation of coming to meetings like this. Before I stepped into this role, I didn't even know that these meetings exist as a normal citizen, walking the streets every day. I didn't know that if I had an opportunity to speak on this homeless issue and put my thing, I didn't even know that that was available to us. So it's like maybe getting the word out there more, maybe having it at a time that does a lot for people. Like, I wouldn't have came to this if I was working my job that's paying my bills and I had to be there at 30. I wouldn't ask off for work to come to this, even if it was important to me. But if it was at 5:30 and I needed to leave work a little early, et cetera, to get here, I would get here, And so I think that that could influence it as well. But also I think that from the provider standpoint, this might be a weird thing to say, but it's like, I think at times, sometimes we're a little bit fearful when we are contracted by you guys and you guys have placed your trust in us, and we're operators of one of your programs, to come up here and share our real opinion. Because it's like, hey, if I share my real opinion on this issue, if I share my real thought about this, is that gonna then put me in bad, you know, terms with the people that are funding me? Is that bad terms, with potentially, being up to date for the extension when the contract's over, to be extended for the next contract or to look for other contracts? And so I think that sometimes there's a fear that's involved on people that are the actual, contractors that are doing this work, that, hey, if I really share my true heart or opinion right now, I'm sharing it to the same people that are either gonna, hire me again or not. And so I think that there's a fear in that. And so if that fear was pushed away, I think you would get a lot more real answers and real thoughts and real opinions. And that's what I have to say.
Thank you, everyone, for your comments. I wanted to respond to just, make sure the public is aware that we do have mandatory meetings for staff and contractors. And these are the strategic plan working group, right? Where there are no opinions. There are just contractors and staff members that have been given the task to fulfill the council's requests and the public obligation to address homelessness. And we need that. We need staff and contractors to show up and fulfill the strategic plan to address homelessness. And so, the public might not see those meetings occurring because they are, internal, and we might be discussing, sensitive information and clients, or we might be, reviewing issues that the city is working through. But we have substantial opportunities throughout the year for the public, members of the public, to come forward and share their opinion, right? Days like today, we have semi-annual strategic plans to address homelessness workshops. We also have, on occasion as needed, which ends up being quite frequent, we have discussions about contracts, and we have reviews of elements within our strategic plan to address homelessness that come up on our regular council agenda. So we have a lot of opportunities for the public to engage, and whether it's the issue of homelessness, whether it's safety, whether it's our public amenities, we get people coming to engage at different levels during different times, right? But where is the consistent work? And we only can accomplish our goals related to homelessness because people are willing to put in the work, because our council is willing to put in the work. I know myself and the mayor have put in a lot of work on this topic. Our staff is incredibly dedicated. Our staff has a wonderful reputation throughout our region. I hear from people about how our staff is doing such a great job, and our contractors are doing such a great job when it comes to implementing our strategic plan to address homelessness. And yet, we do need people to come and share their real opinion. We need people who are going to offer their perspective, and it may be one ideology or another. It may be from one type of life experience or another, but we need people to contribute to the conversation and share their real feedback, and not to make decisions for us. I feel very confident in my power. I feel confident in my decision making. We are talking about advisement, and we can give the structure to that advisement in whatever way we wish. But I think that there's some expertise and some really candid conversations that could happen in a commission that would lead to greater accountability for our public funds, first and foremost, not as just an opportunity for us to think up and imagine ways for us to spend public dollars, but to evaluate our spending as it is now and to provide that candid advisement that we might be missing in those internal meetings. I appreciate your comments, Mayor. I understand you're not supportive of a commission. I'm hearing that commissions are simultaneously don't have authority, yet the topic is so important that we should not be delegating authority. And I'm hoping to delegate some advisement. I'm hoping to receive advisement from stakeholders. I agree that people with lived experience should have stability and be interviewed, just as with any of our other commissions. There is great organizations like the HEAL Network that work to support people who have been rehabilitated from homelessness, and supports their leadership and advocacy. And there's so many other potential advisors in this issue. I know staff is reaching out to people frequently when they're doing research for taking the direction that we've given. And I believe that if, as much as it is an additional meeting for staff, that it would be a benefit to staff for them to have a body to come to for advisement, rather than kind of reaching all over the county and reaching all over to these different stakeholders, to have a really solid board established by the council, right? Because the staff is seeking advisement already. They're not going to a council-appointed board and seeking advisement. They're going wherever they can to find that advisement. They're doing research, they're coming back with recommendations. How much better would it be for us to have the people on our team that we want advising us? So I'm very confident in my my decision making, and I appreciate that we want to have a regular dialogue with our service providers. I will continue to ask those questions. Like I said, we have many times throughout the year where we are doing that. I'm recommending that we have more. I'm recommending that we have more workshops as a council, including workshops to address long-term strategic needs. And I think it's really important that we, are inclusive. You mentioned something, Mayor, about everybody knows where we stand, right? Because we've had to campaign on our issues. As an elected official, we have not only a right but a responsibility to practice our free speech so that people know where we stand. And people know where I stand, that I want to form a more participatory community, and I want more people to be involved in these big decisions. And I also am very capable and confident in saying yes or no about an issue. Just as, tomorrow we're going to be taking, again, time out of our schedules to go view these modules and to check out these different types of shelter builds. And we're going to have the opportunity to say yes or no to that. But the different concepts that we might be able to say yes or no to could come from an advisory committee or a commission, excuse me. So for me, it's about it's having integrated community, right? Integrating community feedback into our decision-making, because we're not getting enough input. I don't believe that we're getting enough input. I appreciate the input coming today. I think it's insufficient. I think our communications team already does a lot, and we're putting out meeting notices, we're publicly noticing things. Our city clerk is dedicated to that as well. And my goal is to have more inclusion, and also to have a reasonable body of advisors, right? And expertise and lived experience and business aptitude and these different perspectives. And I think that we would find a lot of really solid recommendations that we could get behind. So I think that there are some things that we agree with. I understand, you're stating outright that you don't support a commission, but I think that you and I could agree that we want to meet more as a council, and we appreciate expertise, right? You and I do a lot of research. We ask staff to do research. So maybe you can find that there is some value in bringing expertise, into this discussion. And as an organization of the City of Vista, our goal is to pursue excellence, right? We want to be doing a good job. Not only is it important for, us as elected leaders to basically prove ourselves, right, to the public, and otherwise, they will vote for someone else, right? We have very high standards for ourselves. We have to do a very, very good job. But I also know that my responsibility is to support this organization, and I do believe that a commission will enhance our operations and improve our strategic plan to address homelessness, as well as providing accountability to the public. So those would be, my biggest interests and my biggest goals. I understand why you're opposed to it. I'm happy to hear any continued thoughts from you, and I just appreciate that we can have this dialogue, but I am committed to continuing to doing the work. I would just love to have more people come alongside us.
But to be clear, these meetings with at least 2 council members, where the other 3 members are ex officio and have the right to show up and participate, your recommendation to the council is going to be to eliminate these meetings, that with a standing committee where you and I, as members elected by the public, are the ones conducting the monthly meeting.
I believe we should form a commission, and there is also option 2, where we continue the committee, but we bring members onto the committee that have, voting capacity as well. I think that, based on the reflection of Pete, I think I've been thinking about option 2 a lot. And, I was even discussing with city manager yesterday, there's part of me that does want to continue to meet in this capacity because I do see value in it. But I would be concerned that it would take away the candor, right? That people wouldn't feel free to truly express their opinions if you or I were sitting on here, right, with some other continued members. I want to get the most, thoughtful expression and opinions out of this commission. So we could continue to serve in this capacity with a committee. I just have reservations about that. And I'm willing to engage in other meetings and further oversight while we bring on a commission. So I think for me, it's about having a modified version of all the options here.
I did want to give the other 30 members of our contracted staff, let them off the hook. We didn't necessarily ask for them to be here this morning or put something on the agenda that was relevant to the program that they're providing. But Pete, I appreciate you being here. I really do. But part of me would also hate to have 32. If we're here for 1 hour, that'd be 32 man hours invested in this. 2 hours would be 64. That's a lot of time. So they're out doing things that matter, hopefully helping solve homelessness. So I wanted to let them off of the hook on that. I just meant to say we do have a large community of people involved in these programs. And this meeting was scheduled for quite some time, and it was only probably officially noticed a few days ago, to your point. But the reality is, if we know that the third Thursday at 8:30 a.m., and that, we skipped a few meetings, but we were meeting regularly last year, third Thursday, and it gave everybody a target on the calendar to know, if I want to talk about homelessness in Vista, that is my time and place and location. And we've been through this business of, we're going to have 5:30 meetings, we're going to have 6 p.m. meetings, we're going to have 10. There is no good time, we have discovered, for everyone. Either, people don't wake up that early or they don't stay up that late. I can tell you, every single time we have an issue go late, and we have seniors, which is why I advocated for 2-minute speaking instead of 3. Because whenever there's an hour worth of public comment, at the end of it, I see people, and it tends to be our seniors, about 10 o'clock, they go, I can't wait till midnight to say my piece on this. And that's what happens when you start a meeting at 6 p.m. And, you get long-winded people like me that like to talk a lot. And, you get 40 speakers times 3 minutes, do the math. It's a lot of time. So no matter what time you do it, it's not good for people, which is, again, why we're here, because, we got elected to do the job. We owe the people the duty to spend the time to do it. And Pete, I just wanted to say to you, I thank God for people like you who, your job and your salary are obviously important. They're important to all of us. But what's more important to you is the truth and what's right. And I'm sure we all want to pursue truth and righteousness, but it's a difficult thing to put that ahead of your own personal interests. And for all that have the courage to do that, I appreciate that. We've got a few members of the staff that like to have an argument because they are convicted strongly. I love people that have strong convictions. I love to have a good, academic discussion about what the right way to help people is, because we've spent so much time, so much money, so many resources, and yet all the numbers demonstrate the problem is getting worse and worse and worse. And how can it be, after all the money that we have spent and all the time and all the hours and all the meetings, that not only is it not getting better, it's getting worse? And you talked about the cause. Nobody wants to whisper the truth about the cause of homelessness, and this is the reason I don't want a bunch of political activists appointed to a commission, because they're going to drown out the truth. The truth is that narcotic drugs are driving homelessness as a chronic condition. And we have women who lose their housing with their children because of domestic violence. That's episodic homelessness. We send them to Operation Hope. We get them the help they need. I know you'd open the church right now to that woman and her children. I'd open my own home. Somebody who wants help. There's so many groups of people that are homeless. The taxonomy, the classifications. But to me, there are only two that matter. One is, I want help. Two is, no, thank you. We can do the world. We can give the world to the people that want our help, can't we? If somebody wants change, if they want our help, and when we reach our hand out, they'll reach back and latch onto it. There is no limit to what our society, to what God and our fellow human beings, because we are a good and generous species. God created us to be charitable and to love one another, even the ones we've never met and never known. And I believe every one of us will pick our neighbor up and lift him up out of homelessness if we had the opportunity to do so. But then we have this group of people. We have 170 people who are chronically unsheltered. They're called chronically homeless. And that's very important because the community sees the chronically homeless on the street. And that's what brings it into their consciousness every single day as they drive about our city. And the cause of chronic homelessness, the people who are unsheltered, almost entirely are addicted to narcotic drugs. Many of them also suffer from severe and some from moderate mental illness. Although what I think is really important, we get in this argument over, well, you're talking about drugs, but it's really mental illness. Look, the American Psychiatric Society rightfully defines narcotic drug addiction as a mental disorder. So what we can say about 100% of people who are chronically homeless, the people who refuse to go to the shelter when we ask them to come, we can say 100% of them are mentally disordered. That's the truth. That's what's righteous. That's what God knows the truth is, okay? That's what those of us, and you know why I don't really need to appoint somebody with lived experience? Because, Pete, how many times have I been to sit down and have a conversation with the people that are in our program at the Navigation Center? I'm going to go out on a limb and say I've sat down and had more personal conversations with the people living there than probably any other member of the council. In fact, I might be so bold as to say I've had more conversations with the people living in our shelter than all the other members of the council combined. I've spent a lot of time there. I stop by frequently. Pete knows now to expect me either with short notice or unannounced. I like to drop in. I like to see the people and meet the people and know the people that we're helping there. I like to come to know them as human beings and understand what happened in their life and how we were able to intervene to help them. And I've gone when we put people, when we were doing motel vouchers and sending people to Escondido. I used to go take people to Denny's that we had gotten into a motel voucher, and I'd follow up with them and buy them a meal and I would tell them, and I give everyone my personal cell phone. And I say, there's one thing that I need from you. I can't come to the shelter with you. I can't go through this process with you. I need you to tell me what your experience is. And I give them my personal cell phone number. Now I would just say, go out on Google right now and Google all the members of this council and tell me whose cell phone number comes up the fastest, okay? My phone rings off the hook all day, every day. I love being the mayor of Vista. I love taking the time to represent people, and I don't care if they don't have a home to live in. I don't care if they're addicted to drugs. I don't care if they're the richest among us or the least among us. I want to hear from our people. So I tell the people that I help get into the shelter, and I have often been out with outreach workers and come across someone, or a neighbor will call me and say, there's somebody with 6 shopping baskets on Melrose. Can anybody help them? And I have often been at odds with city managers or program managers because there wasn't a bed available, and I fought until there was one. And when I follow up with people, what I say to them is I can't go through this with you, but I need you to call me and tell me what your experience is, good, bad, or indifferent. I want to know what works and what isn't. And because you and I had the wonderful chance to meet each other in person, and you got to meet the mayor, I just need one thing. Your experience to me is representative and emblematic and educational for me, and it informs me. So call me and tell me. And I have people that call me who are still homeless, and they were homeless when I met them in Vista, and they've called me from Oceanside and Carlsbad, and I go out. Mark, who lives behind In-N-Out Burger, I've been working to try and get him housed for a long time. Pete knows, we've talked about his case and how much it wrenches my heart that we had a VASH voucher for him and we couldn't find him for 30 days. He's a veteran, served our nation in the armed forces, and I've come to know so many of these human beings, our brothers and sisters. Most of them are brothers, but so I don't need to appoint some political activist. I don't see the purpose. If people don't have Pete's courage to come forward and speak truth to us, then it's our job to go out and to ask questions in such a way that gives the person we're asking the confidence that our heart is in this, and I'm not going to punish you for being honest. The only thing that I seek is the truth. It's the only thing I seek. It's all I care about, because I really want to solve this problem. I want to take the number of people on our streets from 170 to 0. I want to make a shelter. I want to have a bed for everybody that wants to go. I want to solve the problem. And if I thought that this commission would do that, I would be for it. But to me, I see it as more talk, less action, because the people who would be appointed wouldn't be deciders. You and I are deciders. We have the authority to make decisions, to spend large sums of money to create and to end programs. I don't need advice from somebody that I came in and asked to meet with Pete and to meet with St. Francis and talk to Jonathan and go to see stuff. I'm going to go to see it myself. I'm going to sit down with the people with the lived experience myself. I'm taking the time to do that. And any member of the community, we have these 3 fine ladies from St. Francis who've come here this morning because they invest their time in this problem because it's of concern for them, and they've come to share their hearts this morning. I think as leaders, what you have to do and what I have to do is we have to use our megaphone to let people know we have a regular meeting and to tell them why it's important. And Kathy, are we on Zoom right now? So if somebody was out there in Zoom land and they couldn't drive here, would they be able to put their hand up? Is there anybody on Zoom watching us right now? No. And how would I know if I go to the city website? Let's see. Let's just go here to vista.gov. I think one of the things we could do better, Madam Deputy City Manager, Assistant City Manager, Miss Huerta, I think we could do a better job at publicizing upcoming meetings on the homepage.
We can definitely discuss with our communications team. The agenda cover sheet does have the Zoom link and also a telephone number where folks can either call in or attend via Zoom.
Of course, I'm on the mobile version right now. What comes up first, and maybe this is more important, Service Finder comes up first. That might be more important than our meetings. But let's see here.
We can definitely put a banner on the city's front webpage.
Now, I went to Meetings and Events tab. Today's the 21st of February. Our
20th.
The 20th of February, our meeting is not listed here. So shame on us for that. I know it's listed in the records section. I would know where to find it, but if I was an average citizen, I'd be going to this, looking at it going, well, there's nothing going on today. Look at this, February 24th, Parks and Rec, February 25th, Council meeting, February 26th, Environmental Commission, March 4th, Planning Commission, March 4th, Public Arts Commission. This is a lot of meetings. I mean, Deputy Mayor and myself don't even attend all of these meetings. And I know that, well, there's a few here that have to go to a lot of those meetings, but Not anybody in this room goes to all those meetings. That's a lot to keep track of, and the council is expected to attend more of these meetings than anybody else. I think that's all I have to say about it. I don't know that we made any progress here because,
Thank you, Mayor. My goal is to build consensus. I want to be able to bring some proposals to our full council. That's the responsibility of this committee, to, not just workshop our responsibilities, but to try to form systems that are going to lead to efficiency within our organization. And, you made it very clear you do not support a commission. You do not see the purpose. On my end, the problem is only getting worse as we've done this alone. And so I am willing to explore having more participation as a way of improving our services and our efficiency in addressing this problem. I would like to ask, well, are you interested in option 2? Is there any condition under which you would be interested in a commission? I've kind of collected your feedback, right? I can understand that we wouldn't want the commission to make new funding requests. I understand that people with lived experience should be able to speak to successful rehabilitation. And I also support that all council members would appoint their preferred advisors, right? You mentioned ideological differences. I do believe that you as the mayor have more appointment slots and opportunities for our commissions than individual council members do. I would definitely want to integrate and include your feedback, but you're making it clear that you don't support it and you don't see the purpose. Best I can, I am trying to convey the purpose that I see a commission fulfilling, which is to advise the council in a structured way, to be a space for staff to conduct initial reviews of programs and contracts, and for our residents and our stakeholders to be empowered and engaged to a greater extent. People, again, have plenty of opportunity to speak on this matter, but are they being engaged, or are they being invited in to participate in something where they feel like they can genuinely give direction? And I really think that the opinions of this group are simply that. They are opinions, right? They wouldn't be fact. They wouldn't be obligation. So, a lot of the fears and anxieties that you've expressed surrounding our authority, I don't hold those same anxieties. I think that our council would be able to not only appoint each individual and approve one another's appointments, but we would also be able to design their responsibilities. And you've given some feedback of how those responsibilities would be limited, right? So, Mayor, I'm very interested in building consensus, right? It's a personal challenge for me. I like working with people with different opinions than I do. I like the challenge of debate and negotiation. I find it personally fulfilling. That's why I work in government and I serve as a political leader, because I am willing to have those difficult conversations. And this is a difficult conversation. You and I disagree, but in all good faith effort, I do want to include, in any recommendations that I would give to the rest of the council. I want to make it very clear to my council is that these are the recommendations that are coming out of a conversation that you and I have had together. Because I probably would, if it weren't for your recommendations, I would have maybe a different vision of what the commission would look like. But my goal today and my hope in having this item on the agenda is for us to receive a little bit of this researched options from staff, and then for us to proceed with further discussion with the whole of the council And this does not prohibit us, having a commission does not prohibit us from engaging in the discussions that you're talking about, right? And continuing to work on homelessness issues. I think it's very respectable that you do engage our services and our programs to the extent that you do. And if you don't see the purpose of having an advisory group such as this, I'll continue to make the argument that our problem with homelessness is continuing to get worse. There are many experts in this arena that could be beneficial to the city, and talking about issues is valuable. We wouldn't want to ask this commission to take action. We would want them to facilitate conversations, to take a magnifying glass and really look at our programs and, even investigate what it is that we're doing so that we can be held accountable and provide the best possible programs. And I think that could be accomplished with a commission. I think it could also be accomplished with a committee that has extended members. But I would probably prefer the commission just to ensure that there's a body that can really express their opinion. And I'm happy to continue the discussion. I'm hearing your arguments and your perspective. I appreciate them. I understand where you're coming from. I just do believe that there's a purpose to this because we have a growing problem with homelessness, and I want as many quality, thoughtful, dedicated volunteers on our team to help us solve this problem.
How many times do our other boards and commissions meet throughout the year? Like the Public Safety Commission, how many meetings do they have in a year?
It ranges from every other month to twice a month, depending on the commission.
Interesting.
What about, go ahead, please.
I have a compromise. You want a compromise? Here's a compromise. Option 6, we continue the Standing Committee on Homelessness with the council meeting in 6 times a year in the even months. And then we have a 7-member commission. Oh, we have another speaker. Well, I'll finish this idea. We create a commission with 7 members that meets in the odd months. And so we're going to have a meeting every month. And in the even months, it's going to be at 8:30 in the morning.
For us
The
to do
two
our
of us.
business? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're on
And
the
then
same wavelength here. Mhm.
And then, and then the odd months, we'll have a commission meeting of 7 commissioners. If you would be amenable to that, then I would go along with that.
I think that's fantastic. And, I really do think that synchronicity happens, right, when we get to have these discussions. Not saying I thought of the idea first, but I think simultaneously, right, we come to a mutually beneficial agreement, something that everybody is comfortable with. And, I wrestled with this discussion in speaking with the city manager, and I do want to continue this type of work, right? But I also think it's important for us to be, held accountable and for other people to take a look at the work that we're doing because we are spending so much money. I think it actually, in the end, right, even though, I understand your perspective, I think that including a commission in all this is something that we can reference back to say, we are, making sure that all eyes are on this issue. We're not trying to hide anything. We are going to keep this as public as possible because, there is misinformation out there. People do think that, cities across the state of California are just pocketing money for homelessness solutions. And in the city of Vista, not only are we absolutely using public funds properly, but we also want to be above reproach, right, and really showcase what it looks like to do transparent governance. So we have Councilmember Contreras on the mic via Zoom, so I want to recognize her. Councilmember.
Yes, hello, thank you. This is Karina Contreras, Councilmember District 1. I'm in between some of my day job meetings right now, so I have just a few minutes. But I want to say, I really appreciate the conversation that's happening here. I wish I could be there. Um, I'm hoping too that we could, have a different time for these meetings. 8:30 in the morning is significantly difficult for working folks. But I want to make just a few comments. One being that we do have different commissions and committees, and it is not a practice that council members go to planning commission or go to Parks and Rec. So I don't really see that as a factor. Actually, for council members to attend and be vocal during those meetings may have some legal implications. But I think it's what you all are doing here and the conversation that you've had and the conclusion that you're getting to, I think is really responsible and responsive to this issue. We understand that homelessness is growing and the fastest growing population are seniors. And it's not like seniors are all of a sudden turning to narcotics. We have a cost of living crisis in this country. We have it in the state. We have it in the city. So the more folks that we can get together to have dynamic community conversations on how we can be, compassionate, caring, and help folks move out of a state of homelessness, such a tragic, experience for folks. I am all for that. And I think that there's a big appetite in our community to do that work. I know I've had people come up to me in my district wanting to participate in different ways, and that have told me, hey, you know what, if there was a commission, I would really want to be a part of that, because I think that what I do in my personal time with my church, going to do outreach is great, but I don't have that dialogue with the city that they want to be able to have. So thank you so much for doing this work. I know it's not easy. I appreciate both of you, what you're doing, and I know that we can get to a place where we have more community conversations, collaboration, and really start moving the needle on people's success. And we've started to see that in different ways. It is not isolated to Vista that homelessness is increasing. Again, it is a severe issue that folks are facing. High costs of living, loss of employment, even with the immigration issues right now, we have a significant portion of folks that cannot work, even though they're able to work because of extreme fear. So, there's a myriad of ways that folks find themselves housing insecure, and it is our job and responsibility to try and help and see what we can do. And I think we've done a great job, but there's more to do. So I want to just thank you both. I have to get to my next meeting, and I look forward to continuing this discussion at a different time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. I also wanted to add to your recommendations, Mayor, that because we want to retain as much oversight as possible, that in the order of the commission versus the committee meetings occurring, it could follow as such, where the commission meets and then we meet to review what they've worked on or to review whatever it is our will is. And then it goes to the full council, right? Rather than commission recommendations or advisement going to the full council. I think allowing for our committee to stand between. Is that relevant?
That would be something I would have to do some research on, only because if a commission is established, it would be a subordinate body to the council and would have to go directly to the council, is my understanding, but I can do some research on that, if this is the recommendation that you are bringing to council to form.
Okay, and here's just an example, right, for your research and exercise. So let's say we have the topic of encampments, right? And we might have the commission speak to the topic of encampments. And then the committee of myself and the mayor can speak to the topic of encampments. And then it could go to the full council. But would we be able, as these two committee members, to review what the commission initially spoke to? So you would be doing research on that?
Yes, am I understanding you correctly that essentially what the commission comes up with is filtered through the committee before it gets to council?
Another opportunity for us to review their activity before it goes fully to council.
Let me interject, because I hear what you're asking. You're answering the question as an attorney. I think what you're saying is we just want to discuss what they discussed. And what Beverly's asking is, is this committee going to have authority to reject advice from the commission and it not make it to the council? And I think that's the question she's trying
Or
to.
amend or
That
modify?
might not be possible. That might not be within the committee's authority.
I don't believe so.
Okay, well, at least we could have the opportunity, if we alternate months of meeting, to speak on the same topic as the committee. And then we can, bring those discussions back to the council and make it very clear what our interests are.
I think we could do that way if we wanted to, but I don't think we should do it that way. We might have to establish a new ordinance, a new process, but I don't think we should bind or restrict either the commission or our committee in that way. I'm happy to review whatever the commission discussed. I'm happy for them to review whatever we discussed. Essentially now, and I think what we're going to continue to do, is have, how many evening workshop meetings do you want to have? In addition to, we're going to have the, why don't we do, you want to do 2 a year where we have an evening and we can invite the commission? We'll have a joint meeting of the city council and the commission at a workshop. What do you
I
think?
think that's great. So this is another discussion, right, about timing for these committee meetings. I'm okay with you and I doing business to review our contractors and continue on, a similar course, to have them in the mornings, right? And I think it also, we could do it mid-morning, right, if it's more flexible, but just a daytime meeting for us to have full availability of our contractors, I think is a good use of our committee's time. The commission, I think, would probably be standard evening commission time, and then additional workshops throughout the year. I'm okay with continuing on semi-annual workshops, so long as either in this body or within those workshops, we do have time dedicated to long-term strategic planning. I think that's the biggest gap that I'm seeing right now. So maybe it's, it's not 4 workshops a year, maybe it's 2 workshops a year, and alternating meetings between committee and commission. But that would be my preference.
And how about we go even further and we say we're going to have 12 meetings for the year, and 5 of them are going to be commission, 5 of them are going to be standing committee, and 2 of them are going to be workshop. That way staff has to prepare for 1 meeting every month. Would that,
May I please ask for clarification? So currently, we do have 2 workshops per year where we present our updates. So would these 2 workshops you're proposing now
replace those?
replace those?
Yep. So we would have 5 standing committee meetings, 5 commission meetings, and 2 workshop meetings.
With
to
the,
give us,
with the commission?
where we would have a joint meeting of the
Okay.
commission. We don't ever do joint meetings.
Never done that. But
And if you really want to consider people's opinions, then we have our joint dinner meetings to buy them a meal to say thank you for your work on the commission. And we do discuss the issues at those dinners, but it's not really the same as having a business meeting. So I feel like if you really want to, we could I don't see why we couldn't, bring Panera Bread into both of those workshop meetings, and eat dinner with the commission while we make it more of a working dinner. You know what I mean? Then, but we can figure that out. And I would let the commission decide amongst the members of the commission what time they want to meet. Whatever's most convenient to them. And the reason I like 8:30, even though I'm usually 2 minutes late at that hour, This morning I was 5, and I apologize. But, if we were starting the meeting at 10 or 10:30, then, by the time it consumes the whole day. And this idea that it's easier for people to attend at 10:30, it's really not. If you're working, then you could take off the first couple hours of the workday, be a little late, versus if it starts at 10 o'clock, then you're going to go to work from 8, then you're going to leave at 9, and then you're going to get here at 10, and then go. I mean, it doesn't really work. So it's at the very beginning or the very end of the working business day, to me, is the most convenient for
Can we
everybody.
double check with the, you guys did a survey, Jonathan, of the staff did some good work to review just some times with our contractors. Can you tell us more about that with our partners?
Yeah, so we sent out a ranked survey request to our different strategic plan partners. We only received 4 responses, and based on those 4 responses, the order of preference for start times were as shown here. But I will say,
If you only receive 4 responses, unless all 4 of them gave you a different time, you couldn't have 4 ranked. That's math, my friend.
They ranked each of those time slots.
Oh,
for
they did,
each
each of
yes.
them.
That's the
Okay,
ranking survey,
okay.
correct. Yeah.
Well, there being only 4 responses, and those
difficult
people
to-
all
yeah.
being paid by us to be here, I'm not really concerned with what time they would prefer to be here.
I would agree with continuing 8:30.
I don't like the early meeting any more than anybody else does, but it does enable us to then move on to our working day and still earn a living, because I still have a mortgage payment. So I'm happy to give all the time, and I go back to the office, and I will continue to be on the phone with constituents. But also, I think, for the person who is working a regular job, they can give up the first 2 hours. One of my employees texted me this morning, said, "I'm sorry, I have a childcare issue. I'm going to be a few hours late." No problem. But if she'd had a 10 a.m. Issue, then she'd have had to miss at least half of the day versus being 2 hours late. I mean, that's just a logical, thing. So we'll have the commission meetings when the commission wants to have them. Probably will be in the evening. Have the workshops definitely in the evening at 5:30. And then we'll have the standing committee meetings, 5 of them in the even months, at 8:30 in the morning with 7 members of the commission. So if
I'm
you're
very
good with,
supportive of that.
great. Well, if you're making that recommendation, then I'll second it.
All right, and so we have unanimous support for continuing 12 meetings a month with 2 combined workshops, 5 committee meetings, and 5 commission meetings. And then we'll have to go back to the council with reviewing the commission and determining the commission. Can you speak to the other topic?
The establishment of the commission has to go to council. Yeah.
Of course.
And in the event that the motion is approved to establish the commission, the ordinance would have to come into effect, amending the municipal code, establishing the commission. So the package as a whole to council would be to, we're not disbanding the committee, so it would be to just,
No, this is just a recommendation.
Yeah.
That's all it is. The council obviously will do whatever the council will do, and you'll get to write the ordinance, so.
And I think what's significant for staff is, that we will need to come back to council with more detailed instructions on the commission and following, our legal procedure. And then also, we are modifying our committee schedule to be 5 times per year. And then, as we proceed with the commission, identifying the times for that as well as for the joint commission and council workshops.
Okay, and then just to clarify, with this new, with this motion, we will not have a standing committee meeting in March.
I'm still prepared to meet, as there will be a gap in activity.
Yes, that's fine.
So I'm prepared to meet in March.
Until the council takes action, that's fine.
And until there was a time frame in which a commission can go into effect, and what would that time frame be, Beverly?
it would have to be at least until the passage of the ordinance would be the 30 days, 31 days after that. But I don't know how soon it can get to council.
Sure, plus appointments, right?
Yeah, staff's
Need
going to reasonably need several months.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we will continue to meet as we are. All right, are there any further public comments? Any other comments from you, Mayor?
No, we were supposed to have discussion item 2, general update on homelessness. We left that off here.
Yes, the direction was to only bring this discussion for this meeting.
We'll bring that discussion item back.
Yeah, I want that always. That way nobody ever starts to tell me that it's not Brown Act notified. In my opinion, I don't have anything more this morning, but in my opinion, the subject matter of this committee is always correctly notified because it is the Standing Committee on Homelessness. So in my opinion, the public's been made aware that we will discuss matters relevant to homelessness. So I believe even without that item, that we're allowed to discuss whatever we want relevant to this particular subject. Wouldn't you agree?
I would encourage you to speak on the strategic plan to address homelessness to whatever extent that you would like.
I'm just looking to our city attorney.
Well, given that there was a narrow scope and a limited scope for discussion here, I would just say that D1 was the limited topic that was to be discussed on this day, and Brown Act would apply to that limited topic. There was a narrow direction given, and we followed it.
That's fine. I don't want to see this item missing again because this disregards my instructions to have that on every agenda. So if you're going to take it off of a future agenda, I want somebody to ask my permission to do that.
Will do.
I'm supportive of having that on the agenda.
Yeah, because I want us to be able to have a free-flowing conversation here. And like I say, I don't have anything else this morning. We've probably spent enough time on this subject, but I don't want to get hamstrung by that. So I want the public to realize that all the conversation is relevant to all of our programs, and anything that we want to discuss is relevant to homelessness.
And things are changing day to day. So, if you learn something the day before that you want to discuss during standing committee, I want us to be empowered to do that. All right. Well, with that, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.